Good morning. It's been Chodesh Nisan Habalim Latova, the month of Geula. May be zochet to see the Geula Shlema B'Karov. Mamish, and you all be zochet to a personal Geulas in our own lives, whatever you need. Today we're learning Perek Vav of Yevamos. Today's shiur is we learn Nishmas Rosba Simcha Kohen Aaron Nachman Simcha Kohen Shemorcha Mishnah Simcha Chasam Shmuel Leib Yonah Moshe Ben Yosef. May Shalom have an aliyah. And forced them for Yisrael Baruch Alei Baruch Bas Pesach Zelda Avdi Yisrael Risha Chaya Bas Bela forced them Besach Shach Yisrael and Shefer Bracha V'Atzlocha to Svi Noach Ben Bracha Rachaleya and Yaakov Leib Ben Yehudas Chaya B'Chol Mishpachto Chol Mishpachtehem, both of them, everyone, and um, and also the month of Seder Nashim, sorry, sponsored by our dear friends at the Imperial Advisory Group. The Imperial Advisory is an award-winning CFO advisory firm whose team of CFOs brings an average of 30 years of experience. They help businesses go beyond bookkeeping and accounting by providing strategic financial leadership, empowering leadership teams to make more informed, big picture decisions. To learn more about Imperial Advisory, visit their website at www.imperialgrp.com. Okay, let's move on. If you guys have any birthdays or yahrzeit that you want to commemorate and dedicate this year as a schus or as a chanishmas, please reach out to me privately. Perek Vav is a short Perek, only 6 Mishnayos, and I'm sorry about the late start. It's Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh usually start later. Perek Vav Mishnah Aleph. Haba al Yevimta, one who has bia with his Yevama. So again, you have Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Reuven dies. Shimon is now falls to the Reuven does not have kids. Reuven's wife now falls to Shimon, and as Yevama, so Shimon has bia with his Yevama, with Reuven's widow. Ben B'Shogeg Ben B'Meis, whether he has bia mistakenly because he thought she was a different woman, or deliberately, meaning that he knew that it was his Yevama, but his intention was not for the mitzvah of Yibum. Rather, he did it merely for enjoyment. Bein ba'ones bein b'ratzo, whether he was forced to be with her or he did so willingly for the sake of Yibum. Afilu ho shogeg v'hi, even if neither of them had the correct intentions. For example, he was mistaken and she was deliberate. He mistook her for a different woman, and she knew who he was, but her intention was not for the mitzvah. Or who mezid hishogegas, or if he knew it was for the mitzvah, and if she was mistaken, she thought it was something else. Who anos hilo anusa, or if he was forced and she was not, rather she was either mistaken or deliberate. He anusa v'hulo anus, or she was forced and he was not, rather he was either mistaken or deliberate in his actions, and even if both of them were deliberate, mistaken, or forced, whether he began the bia and did not complete it, or whether he completed the act of bia, Kana, in all these cases, he has acquired the Yevama as his wife, has fulfilled the mitzvah of Yibum, even with all these scenarios that we described above. The fact that he had bia with her, she is his wife now, and the story. In addition, the Torah distinguished in this regard between bia in a natural manner versus in an unnatural manner. Mr. Bays, And so too, someone has bia in any of the ways mentioned in the previous Mishnah. Halachas mikol harash b'torah. If he has bia in any of these ways, any of the arayas listed in the Torah in Achrei Mos, or psulos, or with any disqualified women, kigon amana kohen gadol. For example, a widow who is also to a kohen gadol, grusha chalutza kohen heter, or a divorcee or chalutza who is also to an ordinary kohen, mamzeres or nesina d'Yisrael, or a mamzeres or nesina who is also even to a regular Jew, bas Yisrael, the mamzer Nisuin, or a regular Jewish who is usher to a mamzer or a Nisuin. Pasla, in all these cases, he disqualifies her from the kahuna, even if he didn't realize that she was usher to him, or was forced to abia with her, or she was mistaken and forced, or they only had partial bia. The woman becomes usher from the kahuna by this act. She may no longer marry a Kohen, married to a Kohen, or eat truma if she is the daughter of a Kohen. Oh, chalak ben bia lebia. The Torah does not distinguish in this matter between natural bia and unnatural bia. Even if she's disqualified from the kahuna, and all these other people are hostile according to their levels. Okay. So now, Mr. Bayes talked about bia with these disqualified women. What about Erusin? If okay, if this Erusin, which is before Nisuin, does that passel them as well? So Mishnah Gimel, Amar the Kohen Gadol, when a widow marries a Kohen Gadol, Rishon Chalutza the Kohen Heter, or a divorced woman or Chalutza marries an ordinary Kohen, Min Erusin lo yachal b'tshuva. The law is that the halach is that from the time of the Erusin and onward, if the time of their halachic engagement, these women may not eat truma, even if the woman is the daughter of a Kohen who is allowed to eat truma. Till now, the forbidden Erusin alone disqualifies her from eating truma from then on, and even before she completes the marriage and has been with her husband. Since she is now awaiting a forbidden bia, she may no longer eat truma. No. Um, uh, right. So, okay. I'm sorry. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon Machshir, and Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon consider them eligible for truma as long as they have not actually cohabited with them. They can again, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon consider them eligible to eat truma as long as they have not actually done bia. According to them, Erusin alone does not disqualify a Kohen's daughter from eating truma. This armalu onis garshu. If these women who are then widowed or divorced from their Kohen husbands, minha nisuin pesulos, if they were divorced or widowed from Nisuin once they had completed their marriage, they completed their first bia, they remain disqualified from eating truma despite no longer being married to the forbidden men. Minayerusin gesherus. But if they were widowed or divorced only from the state of Erusin before they completed the marriage, they are kosher again and fit to eat truma, since they never had the bia that was usher. They were no longer in a forbidden relationship. They are allowed to eat truma again. Because you know that once you have Erusin, they have to get divorced. It's not like nowadays where you get engaged, but you don't actually do the Erusin until the chuppah. As long as that we do Erusin and Nisuin together under the chuppah, the half sake of the two together. So the time from Erusin to Nisuin, this Manazeh is only like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. But back in the day, when they did Erusin 6 months to a year earlier before they got married, they were considered to be married for all intents and purposes, except that they couldn't live together. And if they got divorced, if they break the bond, they have to get an actual get. So that's what we're talking about over here. The style of engagement that we have nowadays is not considered to be an erusin according to the Torah, although there are different things that have to be done if an engagement is broken before the erusin, according to halacha. Okay, not for today's conversation. Mishnah Dalet, Kohen Gadol Yishalmana, Kohen Gadol may not marry a widow, Bein Almana min ha'erusin, Bein Almana min ha'nisuin. Whether she's a widow from the erusin stage of marriage, or whether she's a widow from Nisuin. Well, he says Bogeres. Kohen Gadol may also not marry a Bogeres, even if she never lived with a man. So what's a Bogeres? So a girl is considered physically mature when she reaches the age of 12 and has at least two cyros. At this point, she enters a state called Narus. So until 12, she's a katana. At 12, she turns into a Nara, and she has that status for 6 months, from 12 to 12 and a half. At 12 and a half, she's called a Bogeres. At this stage, the physical signs of a Sula naturally begin to diminish, even if she never had Bia. So it says that Kohen Gadol may not marry a Bogeres, even if she never had with a man. So this means that a Kohen Gadol had to marry a Nara who was between 12 and 12 and a half. Let's think about that for a second. And the opposing view, that was according to the Mishnah. Okay, Eliezer Yishimon Machshirim did Bogeres. Eliezer and Shimon, they consider a Bogeres fit to marry a Kohen Gadol, because in their opinion, the Torah excludes only a woman who is not a Basula at all, but permits a Kohen Gadol to marry a partial Basula, meaning a Bogeres. She never had Bia, but some of the signs are starting to fade away. That's a little bit. No, that makes a little bit more sense. Not that the Mishnah needs my endorsement, but we don't usually condone people marrying 12-year-olds. It is manazeh. But according to the Mishnah, it's good. Well, he says Mukas 8. He may not marry a woman who is struck by a piece of wood in a way that destroys the signs of her basulim. Eras es halmana, if an ordinary Kohen did Erusin with a widow, when Nismana Leos Kohen Gadol, and he was then appointed to be Kohen Gadol before the Nisuin, okay, because the Stam Kohen Hedron can marry an Almana, where Kohen Gadol cannot. So he was a Kohen Hedron, and he did Erusin with a widow, and then before the Nisuin, before the actual chuppah, before completing the marriage, he became appointed as Kohen Gadol. Yichnos, he may marry her fully. He can complete the marriage since the Erusin was done while she was much to him. He is allowed to complete the marriage. Once happened that Yeshua ben Gama did Erusin with a widow named Marsa, the daughter of Baisos, when he was an ordinary Kohen. Uminahu Melech Leos Kohen Gadol, and the king then appointed him to be Kohen Gadol, the Kansa, and he married her fully. He completed his marriage to her. And therefore that's okay. So marriage, Yevamos Shenafel Kohen Lidnei Kohen Hedron. If a woman awaiting Yibam fell to her husband's brother while he was an ordinary Kohen, V'nismana Lios Kohen Gadol, and the brother was then appointed to be Kohen Gadol before he performed Yibam. Even if he already performed Maimah with her before becoming Kohen Gadol, as we said, Maimah was the quote unquote the Erusin for Yevamos. He may not marry her in Yibam once he's appointed Kohen Gadol, because Mimer is not the same as Erusin, and therefore it's not there's not the same rules. Kohen Gadol shemeis achiv. In the case where Kohen Gadol, whose brother died, so that his widow felt him for yibum. Cholet lo miyabim. The Kohen Gadol must perform chalitza, but not yibum, since he may not marry the widow. A widow. And two more to go. Kohen hedge lo yisa islandess. An ordinary Kohen may not marry an islandess, a woman who will not never physically mature, not have any hairs, and she does not develop any physical characteristics of a mature woman. She can never have children. That's islandess. The ordinary Kohen cannot marry an islandess unless he already has another wife who can bear children, or he already has children. Because men are obligated to have children, as the pasuk says in Bogeres, "Pru or vu," to be fruitful and multiply. Therefore, he cannot marry an islandess, since he cannot fulfill his obligation with her, unless he already has children or is married to another woman who can have children. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. He says, even if the Kohen has another wife or children, lo yisa islandess, he still should not marry an islandess. He zona hamura b'Torah, but she is the zona mentioned in the Torah. The Torah asks a Kohen to marry a zona in Parashat Kedoshim, I believe. In his opinion, Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, the term zona includes a woman who is incapable of having children. According to him, a Kohen may never marry an islandess, even if he already has children or is married to another woman who can have children. But the Chachamim say, "Ein zona el giyaros v'shuchreres v'shenifala bilas nus." A zona is only a female convert, an evet Kanani, a zona is only a female convert, a shifra Kananis who is freed, or a woman who has engaged in a forbidden act of bia. A regular Jewess who had bia with a man forbidden to her under Torah law, such as an erva or a mamzer. And finally, the last Mishnah for today, Mishnah Vav, lo yibatal adam epirya rivya el imkein yesh lo banan. A person may not refrain from trying to fulfill the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiplying, unless he already has children. A man who has not yet fulfilled this mitzvah must marry a woman able to have children. Beishamai Omrim. Beishamai says, Shnei Zacharim, he must father at least two males. Beis Hillel says, Zachar or Nekeva, he must father a male and a female. Shnei, as it says in the pasuk in Bereshis, Zachar or Nekeva bara, he created them male and female. Beis Hillel assumes that man's mitzvah is to have children populate the world, that corresponds to Hashem's original act of populating the world, and Hashem created one male and one female, Adam Chava, and according to him, a man must also father one male and one female in order to fulfill the mitzvah of populating the world. According to Beis Shammai, you only need two boys. Nasa Isha, if a man married a woman with Shacha Ima Esher Shanim and remained with her for 10 years, below Yalda, and she did not have children, he is not permitted to remain from fulfilling the mitzvah without children. Since they have gone 10 years without having children, we assume that they cannot have children together. Therefore, he must either divorce her and marry someone else, or marry another wife in addition to her. Gershah, when he divorces her, with terrorists the nas of the achar, she is permitted to marry another man, even if that person has not yet fulfilled the mitzvah to have children. We do not assume that the woman has barren after a decade of not having children with the first husband. Rather, we assume that she simply could not have children with her first husband. Rishai Ashini Lishos Ima Eser Shanim. And the second one is permitted to remain with her for 10 years. If she became pregnant and then miscarried, Mona Mishashi Pila, he counts the 10 years from the time she miscarried. Since she became pregnant, we see that at that time they were able to have children together. Therefore, we count 10 years starting from when she miscarried. And we wrap it up. Ha'ish mitzvah al priya v'rivya. A man has a mitzvah to be fruitful and multiply. Avallah ha'isha, but not a woman. Yochanan and Perek Omer. Yochanan Perek says al shneim hu Omer is concerning both of them that the Torah says. Vayivarech osam elokim. True, and God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply." Since Hashem addressed both Adam and Chava, it is evident that both man and woman are obligated in this mitzvah. The Tana holds that according to Tosfos and the Gemara, that the Tana holds that Hashem issued a blessing of fertility toward both Adam and Chava, but the actual mitzvah to have children was directed only at Adam and not Chava. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for Perek Zion. Kol Tov.